Japan currently has over 200 roller coasters, which is the sixth most of any country. This includes a few roller coasters that are once the world's tallest and fastest. They also have a lot of weird coasters from Togo, and some highly themed coasters at the Disney and Universal parks. So in this video, I will rank the country's top 25 roller coasters. Before starting the list, I want to note that I will be giving some honorable placements for defunct coasters I experienced through the years, and also some existing clones I have experienced elsewhere. Then, since this list only includes coasters I have personally experienced, there are some notable ones that will be missing. I have not been to Nasu Highland, so you will not see Big Boom on this list. That coaster looks to have one of the craziest first drops out there, so I would love to experience it one day. In a similar vein, I have not been to Bennyland for Yagiyama Cyclone. I've heard that first drop is wild like the one in Excalibur at Valley Fair. I also have not been to Kijima Kojin, so I have not been on Jupiter, which is the country's largest wood coaster. I also have not been to Greenland, which is 8 different roller coasters, most notably Milky Way, a racing Togo coaster with one sit-down side and one stand-up side. I have also not been to the Rusutsu Resort, so I have not ridden the Ultra Twister with the dive loop and high-speed second half. I have ridden a standard Ultra Twister at least, which you will see in the list. 2 final rides I have not been on. First, I have not ridden Venus GP at Himeji Central Park, the giant Mauer looping coaster. The loop looks to have good force, but I have heard mixed things overall about the ride. I have not been on Gran Montserrat at Parque España. I visited this park on an extremely rainy day, so it unfortunately was closed all day. I was extremely lucky the rain stopped at the end of the day, so I could at least get on Pyrenees. Starting off the list at number 25 is Looping Star at Nagashima Spa Land. This is a classic Schwarzkopf looper. The circular vertical loop is strong positive G's per usual. Then the train navigates a series of twists and turns with some laterals, and a speed hill with an airtime pop. While there are quirkier coasters all throughout Japan, this is still a smooth and enjoyable ride that has served the test of time. Number 24, Mega Coaster at Hamanako Pal Pal. This is a weird coaster from Togo. It has a steep first drop that offers a nice tummy tickle. The dive loop has some great whip to it. You have a bumpy low turn that can cause some neck chopping, but most of the ride is smooth thankfully. Then there's an awesome barrel roll with some good hang time and laterals. The experience then concludes with an okay final helix. This is an uneven coaster, but parts of it are great. Number 23, Gekion Live Coaster at Tokyo Joypolis. This is a weird spinning coaster from Gerstlauer. The first half is a Guitar Hero-like video game using buttons on the restraint. Some songs are comically easy though. Then the second half is a coaster with an okay tire-driven launch and a disorienting, hang-time filled barrel roll. Then the finale is a consistent spin and a forceful turn or two. Just watch your head in the over-the-shoulder restraints. Number 22, Roller Coaster at Hanayashiki. This is Japan's oldest roller coaster. Built by Togo, this ride circles around the compact park, narrowly avoiding buildings and attractions. While the ride has mild height and speeds, the elements are sharply profiled, so there are a few surprising ejector pops. I particularly like that final drop into the tunnel and the sudden rise back into the station. This is a short ride, but is delightfully feisty. Up next is an honorable placement for Minecart Madness at Universal Studios Japan. This Donkey Kong themed coaster was unfortunately closed for technical issues when I visited the Osaka park, but I have ridden the clone at Epic Universe. This is a unique boom coaster, where the train travels along a fake track, giving the illusion of jumping the track. This, combined with the theming and animatronics, is visually cool. The overall thrills are limited, but there are 2 snappy curved drops, and some of the side-to-side shifts offer surprising laterals. These parts can be jerky though. Number 21, Big Thunder Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. This familiar mine train has the usually great visuals as you spiral around and through an ornate mountain. Then the 540-degree helix offers decent sustained laterals. However, this one lacks the intensity of other installations. Whereas the others have a handful of airtime pops, particularly in the back car, Tokyo's is missing the negative Gs. Number 20, Elf at Hirakata Park. This is a smaller wood coaster from Intamin. While the layout is compact and repetitive, the straight drops offer pops of airtime all throughout the train, and with the T-bar restraints, any spot of negative Gs is maximized. However, this restraint comes with a center post that'll bash your legs into it a few times. This is not an issue in Intamin's smoother steel coasters. Elf is mostly smooth, but there are some imperfections in the track as you'd expect with wood. Number 19, Regina at Tobu Zoo. This is a much larger wood coaster from Intamin. I rode it before the recent refurbishment, but I still thought it was a peppy ride. Up front, I got nice airtime on the turnarounds and return hills. Likewise, I got some solid airtime on the larger drops and back. I do remember the back car being a bit bumpy though, but I imagine the coaster is riding better than ever nowadays after GCI's refurbishment. Number 18, Space Fantasy at Universal Studios Japan. This is an indoor mock spinning coaster. The layout is 3 respectable drops, followed by forceful pullouts. Between the spin and darkened environment, it is quite disorienting. Then you have some nice audio and trippy visual effects, particularly with that strobe room. It is worth noting this coaster frequently operates with VR overlays now. When this happens, the spin and several effects are unfortunately disabled, hurting the ride experience. Number 17, Pink Typhoon at Brazilian Park with Shuzen Highland. This is another weird coaster from Togo. Depending when you ride it, it could have stand-up trains or backwards trains. I experienced the latter. This was a bit nauseating, but the first drop in Bunny Hills had nice airtime pops, particularly in the back rows. Then the vertical loop offered strong positive Gs to contrast those negative Gs, and the ride thankfully tracks smoothly. Number 16, Ultra Twister at Nagashima Spa Land. This is a rare pipeline coaster from Togo. After a freaky near vertical lift, the start has some excellent airtime. There's a steep plunge and a sustained camelback. Then there's a quick barrel roll. You then stop so abruptly on the mid-course that it feels like a car crash. Brace yourself. You then roll backwards through 2 more barrel rolls. They are disorienting and loaded with hang time. There's also an exact clone of this ride with Shuzen Highland, but that was closed during my visit. Number 15, Zocon at Fuji-Q Highland. This Intamin straddle coaster has a lot of length to it. The forwards launches have decent kick. Then these bits are followed by some low to the ground and decently forceful turns. The pacing in the middle is a bit odd between the slower backwards bit and the long pause indoors, but you are at least distracted by the ride's energetic onboard audio score. Up next is an honorable placement for Space Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. This was the park's former indoor roller coaster. It featured a nearly identical layout to the California version. It's not quite as fast though, and it was a bummer not having the fans and onboard audio, but the second half still had a series of progressively tighter turns, with the final ones offering nice laterals. And I'm definitely excited to see the newer modernized Space Mountain from Intamin open next year. Up next is another honorable placement for Diavolo at Himeji Central Park. This is a Batman the Ride clone I've yet to experience, but I've heard it rides like the others, and that is a good thing. It is a smooth layout with snappy inversions and forceful turns. I usually come off these with my legs tingling. Number 14, Arashi at Nagashima Spa Land. This is the world's best SNS free spin. Because of all the magnets along the track, this one flips far faster and more frequently than typical installations. It is more akin to Dragon Slayer at Adventureland in terms of intensity. I was getting 12 to 15 flips per ride in 2018. It was completely out of control. I have not ridden this coaster since, but I've heard it has been toned down. Number 13, Takabisha at Fuji-Q Highland. This Gerstlauer Eurofighter is a diverse layout. After a surprise indoor section, there's a powerful LSM launch. Then, there are 3 big inversions with some hang time. You then hit the brakes and ascend a vertical lift. This kills the pacing, but it leads to an ultra steep 121-degree drop with wild ejector airtime. Then, there are 3 more dizzying inversions. This ride does have over-the-shoulder restraints, but it's reasonably smooth unlike its clone in TMNT Shellraiser. Up next is an honorable placement for Dododonpa of Fuji-Q Highland. This was once the world's fastest accelerating coaster. Using a pneumatic launch, it accelerated riders from 0 to 112 miles per hour or 180 kilometers per hour in just 1.56 seconds. It felt like you were rammed in the back by a Formula 1 car. Then, you had a drawn-out layout around the park. No notable turns nor drops, but there was a vertical loop with some sweet hang time. You rode this coaster exclusively for the launch. Number 12. Bandit at Yomiuri Land. This is a terrain mega coaster from Togo. The start is a tummy-tickling plunge and a forceful helix. Then the ride keeps dropping deeper and deeper into the valley, so you keep building up more speed. And the final few hills offer some ejector pops as well. I can see how this coaster inspired the hypercoasters we know and love today. I just wish the trains were roomier and did not have the over-the-shoulder restraints. Number 11. Acrobat at Nagashima Spa Land. This B&M Flyer is a clone of Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. The star is forceful, with a snappy first drop and an intense pretzel loop. The remaining 3 inversions are much more graceful, but I love how floaty they feel in that flying position. While the overall landscaping is not as good as Manta, the second half does start with a turn over the water complete with the iconic water jets. Number 10. Kawasemi at Tobu Zoo. This is an intimate megalite. This is an awesome layout. The S-Hills and Bunny Hills can offer great ejector airtime. However, this one is much more finicky than the other installations. For one, this one is a slower cable lift. 2, and more impactfully, this park's low crowds are a major issue. Most days, this coaster barely cycles, so it never gets to warm up. Then when it does cycle, the train is usually mostly empty. At full strength, this would place closer to the top 5. Number 9. Thunder Dolphin at Tokyo Dome City. This is a unique hypercoaster from Intamin. It is a very bizarre urban terrain coaster. While it is lighter in airtime than most mega coasters, the visuals carry the ride. The track passes over and through different rides and buildings. It is surreal speeding past a series of skyscrapers. The wonky layout does fizzle out towards the end, but it starts strong with a floater airtime filled first drop, forceful valleys, and excellent speed hill. Number 8. Surf Coaster Leviathan at Sea Paradise. This is the country's most underrated coaster. At first glance, this Togo creation looks like a tame jet coaster, but it actually has a series of drops with genuinely good airtime, sudden directional changes with sneaky laterals, and multiple helixes with good power. On top of the forces, this is also a very long coaster with an interesting setting over the water. Number 7. Fujiyama at Fuji-Q Highland. This is a jumbo hypercoaster from Togo. The largest drops have decent to good floater airtime in the back, and a handful pop you up in the front as well. Then the finale feels unhinged. There are a series of banked bunny hills with abrupt and violent laterals, particularly in the front few cars. This is a very unique layout for a hyper, and has a lot of character to it. Number 6. Pyrenees at Parque España. This is a large B&M invert, and is one of the best. It takes the power of a Batman the Ride clone, but the elements are scaled way up. It is a great combination. The inversions have very strong positive G's and/or whip. Then, there's an ultra-tight helix through a vertical loop that makes my legs go numb every single time. I just prefer the rides ahead of it that tend to focus more on airtime. Number 5. Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios Japan. This is the smallest B&M hypercoaster, but it has no shortage of elements. If you are lucky enough to get the ends of the train, you get very good and sustained floater airtime on most hills. This is especially epic in the special backwards train, as the largest drops are paired with a freefall sensation. Then beyond the airtime, this coaster is a fun setting along the Hollywood section of the park, some banked turns with laterals, and a grey-out-inducing helix towards the end. Number 4. Steel Dragon 2000 at Nagashima Spa Land. This is the tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster in Japan. This Morgan Giga Coaster feels like one of their hypercoasters, just supersized. The outward leg has some large hills with ultra-sustained floater airtime if you're on the ends of the train. The turnaround section is a series of helixes with strong positive Gs. Then the return run is a seemingly never-ending series of bunny hills with very good flagector airtime. And if you're lucky enough to get a front row ride, you get to feel all the speed as a bonus. Number 3. Ijinaika at Fuji-Q Highland. This is the country's most intense coaster. This is a colossal 4th dimension coaster from SNS. If you're familiar with X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain, it is a larger and faster paced version of that ride. Between the track inversions and the train flips, you invert a staggering 14 times. It is absolute chaos getting flips in every element. This includes the near vertical drop and the giant raven turn that follows. And the 2-0 G-rolls are unhinged and mind-bending. This coaster can be quite bumpy in the outside seats, so it's not as re-rideable as the 2 rides ahead of it. Number 2. Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. This is an amazing flying coaster. The first 3 inversions are wildly intense. It starts with a graceful 0G roll, and then morphs into a barrel roll down drop with immense positive Gs. Then the positive Gs continue as you pull upwards, and that's not all. This element is followed by a pretzel loop, which has even stronger positive Gs. Having these 2 back-to-back is breathtaking. Then the rest of the layout has some funky airtime pops, 2 floaty corkscrews, and forceful turns. And because of how the layout travels over the Jurassic Park area, it is visually exciting too. And coming in at number 1 is Hakuge at Nagashima Spaland. This RMC hybrid coaster is one of the company's best. It is a long, nearly hypersized ride. The start has some massive elements with super sustained ejector airtime. Then the rest of the layout has a brilliant mix of straight airtime hills, off-axis hills, and 3-0 G-rolls. All of these elements find ways to throw you from your seat. This is a delightfully frenetic experience, and the onslaught of ejector airtime is why it's my favorite coaster in Japan. If you want to learn more about this coaster, or any of the ones in the top 5, I have separate reviews already published to the channel. Those are my 25 favorite roller coasters in Japan. What are your favorites in Japan? Or if you haven't been, what are some of your most anticipated coasters there? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.